We don't stand with this. We are never going to stand with this again. It's time. It's time, because now it's really going to get serious. The fastest way to get this fucking country into shape, reinstate the draft. You want to see just how fast this country will shit bricks and piss blood like Evan Ross? How about we draft your ass? Let's put you over there. I'm going to send your ass to Tehran in a box. Maybe you'll be able to hack it. Maybe you won't.
But isn't that what you're talking about, Peter? Like you're saying, do people really support this? I think what you're saying is, if there's a draft and you have to get over there, all of a sudden there's no support.
Everything changes.
Yep.
Then it gets real. Then you find out how tough you really are, because you ain't tough. Let me assure you, I have been around a good friend who was a lieutenant, who was in Baghdad, and I know he did some really horrible shit. And I was out with him one night, and he got really drunk, and I thought he and his former comrade I thought they were going to kill each other. And I got in the middle of it, and my friend, who's a big guy, he reared back and he gave me his best punch, and he hit me right here on the jaw, and I didn't move. So for any of you out there who talk big, who really think you're tough, you ain't fucking tough. You're not. You just talk big behind a screen. And I don't do this for a living. I do this because I fucking care about the world. I care about people that are weaker than I am, who can't defend themselves against fuckheads like Evan Ross and everyone else out there who has brought us to this point. Evan Ross, if I ever fucking see you, dude, if I ever fucking see you, you better run.
Calling him
if
out.
I'm in your presence.
Well, 2 points, Peter. As you mentioned, I do believe if your religion turns a blind eye to genocide, to mass murder, you don't believe in anything, you know? And as you pointed out earlier as well, if we think that if we had voted for Kamala, that this would not be the outcome, going back to all the previous Democrat presidents, it would have been the same. I just thought, given the uncertainty and the volatility of Trump, that we had a little bit more time. And I can't believe the day's here. And now we're going to see what happens. This weekend is, I think a lot is going to be revealed in the next 48 to 72 hours.
I think it goes without saying that we don't really know the full scope of the significance of Elon Musk making the statement that he made the other day about Trump being in the Epstein files, whether it was true or not. The statement got redacted almost immediately, and now we are here. There are people in very high places that will send us into a world war to protect themselves from exposure to God knows what shit they've been involved in for the longest time. I still want to know, going back to 9/11, who invested or who sold off their billions and billions of stock options on United and American Airlines 3 days before 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know who did that, because somebody knew something was coming.
Yep.
Would you like to close with a fun little topic before we depart for the evening?
Let's do it.
Sure.
Are there Israelis across the river in New Jersey celebrating very jubilantly during the attack of the towers, holding up a lighter in front and being photographed with the burning building behind him? And all of this exposed when the FBI found them later and arrested them and held them and questioned them for 75 days until Chertoff, the Attorney General under Bush, let them go and fly back to Israel. And what?
Why would you do that?
Yep.
Everybody's been talking about the dancing Israelis since that day. They tried unsuccessfully to say that it was dancing Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
But as it turns out, these were dancing Israelis.
Yep. I did a deep dive on that. Somebody, I think it was the guy Max Nordu or whatever, on X tried to challenge me on the dancing Israelis. You know what they tried to say about that is that they weren't literally dancing, that they were just celebrating. So that they try to use that distinction to debunk the whole thing. But once you go down that, if you have not gone down that kind of rabbit hole, I highly recommend it.
There's a lot. What's funny is that we're going over the 2-hour mark now on the podcast, and there's probably like 3 or 4 other stories that we could cover. I mean, obviously, right now this is the topic of our time, and it is extremely important that we cover it. But there are so many layers to this. That's what I think scares people. People just want to live simple lives, maybe raise a family, take a couple of vacations a year, raise kids healthy, successful, etc. People don't want to be troubled by the fact that our nation is not what it once was, and that it's now being blown up in people's faces in a way that's making them extremely uncomfortable. Well, I think all 3 of us have probably lived uncomfortably a time or two. I lived in the Bronx for a couple of years. I didn't have anything. I lived in a room with a mattress on the floor and a folding chair to put my computer on. And that's it. I hung my clothes on a windowsill. I mean, I have lived in poverty. I have eaten in poverty. I've experienced what real hardship is like. And if you haven't experienced that, you can never teach it. You can't share it in a way that a person who hasn't could ever understand. And we are a spoiled country in a lot of ways. We have a lot of problems, but the people that have benefited from this country being the way that has worked in their favor, the level of selfishness and outright naivete about the realities of the world and the things that people have to go through on a daily basis. It's not that I don't think people care. I think people do care. It's just they've got too much going on to really worry about these types of things. And the system is designed in a way to make it so that that's the case. Waking up every day wondering, all right, is my job safe? Am I going to eat the right foods today, etc.? All these things come to mind. And then all of a sudden you've got this world war or God knows what else going on in the background. And you're thinking, I'd like to help, but how the hell can I? I don't have time for this.
Yep. And we didn't even get into the topic of what the next generation looks like here in America with the food and, the water and the environment, these instruments of mass distraction, the way that things are designed. When I look at my siblings, the scrolling culture, just creating an attention deficit, psychological, with the chronic disease and autism in the younger generation. And are they going to be the ones that are paying into our Social Security and taking care of us when we're retired? Like, there is so much at stake here. There are so many things that we can add to and we can discuss tonight, domestically and internationally, that really gets us to the conclusion of we really don't know what the future holds, and you have to lean on something that is superior to just this world. And this is where, like I said, I have found my peace in prayer, in making sure my conscience is clear, and doing the things that a young man must do for his wife and for his family. At the end of the day, that's really the most we can do. And then, of course, get the word out and talk about these things and reach out to as many people as possible. I remember when you just told me the generational change just as a concept, as an idea, and look where we are today. I'm very proud of you, Peter, for always sticking with it, for never, ever just, 1 year of doing this, I think I'm done. 2 years of doing this, we had a good run. You're still going at it, brother. And I respect you for that. The path to victory is consistency. And we just got to keep going, pushing through the mud.
Thank you, sir. Let's finish it out.
Did they say on the news in Israel? They were there to document the event. He says, we were there to document the event. Well, wait a minute. Did you know the event was
Yeah,
coming?
shows they at least knew it was either
Why?
involved or they knew.
Seems pretty
Yeah.
crystal clear to me that 9/11 was an inside job and that Israel had a heavy hand in it.
Yep, and you can't really talk about it.
Yep.
That's the other part about it.
But haven't
you
we
get-
learned? But haven't we learned, Osiris, that when it's something that you're not supposed to talk about, then that is the third rail, and that's where the truth lies.
Yep. Yep. And that's why I respect the courage from you and Jen and many others. You might think that there's nothing we can do. And I would say that is the black pill. I'd never be black pilled. As far as black pill means pessimistic, basically. Just you can put your drop of water in the ocean and it can mean something along with a bunch of other ones. But I think that every little drop matters.
Last clip before we call it a night.
Albert Einstein was once asked to be the president of Israel in 1952, and he refused. Here's why. In 1948, in a letter to the New York Times, Einstein, along with 28 other members of the Jewish community, stated that the Israeli political party closely resembles the Nazis and fascist parties in their ideologies and methods. In the letter, they condemned the Zionist militia's massacre in Deir Yassin, saying that they should have felt shameful. But there's much more. 10 years before the letter, Einstein once said that a Jewish state with borders and an army to protect those borders goes against the religion of Judaism. Even America at the time, Secretary of State George Marshall opposed recognizing the state of Israel. In a 1938 speech, Einstein said, "I should much rather see reasonable agreement with the Arabs on the basis of living together in peace than the creation of a Jewish state."
1938. This was even before World War II started. But Einstein, perhaps the most influential Jewish person who ever lived, made this statement. And I would dare say that it is as powerful then as it is today, but probably as relevant today as it could ever be. Zionism, especially in the United States, has a very effectively swept aside this idea that there is a difference between Zionism and Judaism. And I think because it's gone on for so long, they've been able to get away with it. How we put an end to it, I don't know, but we have to keep trying. I think that is the greatest lesson here. How do we continue to effectively get that message out there? Now, I think it's much more effective when people like Jen are, espousing that message. Dave Smith is espousing that message. Norman Finkelstein is espousing that message. Because you do need prominent members of the Jewish community to be speaking up. And there's way too many of them that know what's going on right now, and they have remained silent. There is a code of silence that exists, and we've seen it in different situations, in different cultures over many years, where people feel the need to protect their own, even if they know that they're wrong. We've seen what's happened in certain Latino communities when it comes to illegal immigrants. We saw what happened in the Black community, particularly with the O.J. Simpson case. And we are seeing this now in the face of a much greater problem, which of course is a literal genocide coupled with a potential third world war, because there is a substantial portion of the Jewish population in this country who does not agree with what's going on, yet they refuse to speak out against fellow Jews because they see it as somewhat of a third rail, a non-starter. We simply can't go there. Well, how are you going to feel when people are getting drafted into war? Iran is no joke. Turkey is no joke.